So I've got a lot to cover. I'm just going to give you headlines. This could easily be a 1 hour course in its own right. We're just looking at how to use LinkedIn. I imagine that you're all at different levels in terms of your use of LinkedIn. So maybe some of you, I'm not going to share anything you don't already know. And maybe for a few of you, there'll be some new ideas here. I've been on LinkedIn for goodness, at least 10 years, but really actively working on it the last couple of months, and recently come to the conclusion that looking for the type of client that we're talking about, that's really where we need to go. So I'm going to talk a bit about why LinkedIn. We'll talk about some recommended support. I'll talk a bit about Sales Navigator, talk about your LinkedIn profile. I'll talk about articles and featured and groups and connections of new contacts. So why LinkedIn? That's where our target audience is to be found. When we started looking at this a year ago, there was quite a lot of talk about Facebook, but eventually we concluded that the directors and decision makers of medium to large companies are not really on Facebook from a business point of view. They may be there from a social point of view. And so LinkedIn is the place to look. I've been down a journey with Sales Navigator in terms of which I've been sort of stalling because of the price, but eventually decided I had to go ahead with it. And I must say, I'm very impressed with it. I think that with the type of audience that we're all looking for, frankly, folks, I would recommend that you invest in Sales Navigator. In doing that, you need to tune your profile, and you need to post articles and post regularly. One person that I've been talking to recently, who's a bit of a knowledgeable in this, whose opinion I'm quite impressed with, says that you need to spend at least 45 minutes a day on LinkedIn if you want to create a flow of clients, and that's with Sales Navigator, and that you need about 1,000 profile views per 3 months in order to generate a steady stream of clients. So LinkedIn, if you're going to use LinkedIn, is not a sort of side issue. It's something I've actually got as far as blocking out an hour a day in my calendar to work on LinkedIn. I'm battling to do it, but I'm seeing more and more that I have to do that. Some recommended support, and I'll send out the slides after this. I'm very impressed with Tilly Davies, Marketing CX, actually based in South Africa. She's currently running a series of free webinars, and if you're still wanting to get the most out of LinkedIn, I would suggest you sign up. Email me if you want details. There's a website. Entrepreneurs Circle. All of you, if you haven't come across Entrepreneurs Circle, I really recommend it. They have a 3-month free membership, very worthwhile. They have a 2-day LinkedIn course that they've run, and that's all in their vault of videos. So a lot that you can learn there. And they also have a weekly LinkedIn clinic where you can submit your profile and they'll critique it. Jennifer Bishop, interesting emails, good, but expensive. Keith Grover has a weekly free clinic, but the Tilly Davies and Entrepreneur Circle, if you're serious about using LinkedIn, I would suggest you go with. I can connect you with all of those. Then an overview of Sales Navigator. You're looking at searching, creating lists, contacting connections, connecting with new people, reading your profile, etc. So just to have a quick look there. This is what Sales Navigator looks like. It's just pops up as an additional icon in your LinkedIn, and you've got various things there. So saved searches. You've got a separate messaging system there, and the key thing with trying to reach decision makers of medium-sized companies is you've got to engage with them without selling. So you can set up searches. You've got a very wide range of filters, so you can be very specific about what you're looking for, and you can tune that. And you get statistics on the search. What's particularly useful is the number of people who've actually been active on LinkedIn in the last 30 days. So you can get that, and then you can go through it, records where you've looked at it. And so go through and look at the ones that are your ideal client, contact them and email them. So you can go in here and, for example, here, I've had quite a dialogue going with this person, and so far I haven't tried to sell them anything. One of my aversions with LinkedIn is people who you don't know who try and sell you things you don't need. So I'm interacting with these people. A lot more to Sales Navigator, but we don't have time for that right now.
Could I ask one really quick question, James?
Sure.
In terms of contacting people, is it the same rules of engagement as for normal LinkedIn, where if you're connected to them, you can email them for free, and if you're not, then you have to use InMail?
With Sales Navigator, you get, I think it's 15 InMails a month, so you can connect with them. There's a bit of a trick, just by the way, with LinkedIn, ordinary LinkedIn. If you, I'm just going to my network, so just bear with me a minute. If you connect with somebody, so what you would see if somebody sends you a connection request and you accept it, you'll get a display here of people who connected with them. Now, the theory is that is for you to connect with people you know. I've been a bit naughty, whatever you want to call it, broken the rules a bit. And I've been quite liberal in terms of asking these people to connect. So I've got nearly 30,000 connections in LinkedIn. Not necessarily all particularly good quality, but with Sales Navigator at the moment, I'm connecting only with first line contacts, and I've got literally hundreds, and probably thousands of C-suite people that I'm connected with. So put in a lot of effort there. So the LinkedIn profile, let's just have a look at a few things there. So we've done a lot of work on my LinkedIn profile in the last few months. Some really good input from the Entrepreneur Circle. Really need to get a strong message in your banner. You need to have a punchy title there. We've just learned yesterday how to put your email address on your profile, which we think is quite neat. Some statistics. I'm getting a fair amount of traffic there. Just turn creator mode on, which puts the featured at the top. You can put a video in the featured. So we've recently had this little video created, and we're working now on a spotlight video with Entrepreneur Circle, which will go here in due course. Activity. Manage what you post, because whatever you post, it comes up here sequentially. So you want to juggle this so that anybody coming to your profile sees some stuff that's really interesting. Work on your about. So space it out, use capital letters for headings because you can't put bold or anything, and have a call to action at the end with your email address, etc. This needs to focus on why clients would be looking at your profile and what you have to offer them. The experience, also expand your experience. Put some sales stuff in, why they would deal with you, what the values are of your. So you're using your whole profile as something to show people as to why they would be dealing with you. I don't have time to go through all of these. Advertising is a whole thing in its own right. I haven't tried advertising at the moment. Entrepreneur Circle reckons it costs about £28 per lead to generate leads in LinkedIn with advertising. It's fairly expensive, but they reckon the leads are very high quality. But you've got to get into it. So if you're going to do advertising in LinkedIn, you've got to have a reasonable budget. Articles and featured. We write the articles in Word. Paul edits them, and then we paste them in. We create a Word document of posts. So, for example, here, that's the post that links to a particular article. I can just copy that, and I go in over here. Okay, let's just go. Yes, I go home, start a post, paste that in, and post it. Now, the thing to realize is the feed is constantly scrolling. So the only people who are going to see your posts are the people who look at the feed round about the same time that you post, certainly if you've got a lot of contacts like I have. So I post every day. My Word document has got little things like that for all of the, well, these are all events, but let's just go up here a bit. These are different articles that I've posted on LinkedIn. So every day I go in and I post a link to this on the basis that people who haven't read that article might want to look at it again later. You can embed videos there. The groups, select a few groups that meet your interest. I don't have time to go through that now, but what I have is a spreadsheet with all the groups that I've got in and some information around that. And I go through and I send, when I put a new article, I post that article to every group, go through this list and copy it in there. Tilly Davies says on groups, building contacts, you find a post on a group that you can relate to, acknowledge what has been written, compliment them by thanking them, and ask a meaningful question. Connections to new contacts. One of the things that I touched on this a few minutes ago, you really need to read a person's profile when you approach them. If you just make a cold, I'm Joe and I'm selling whatever, you're going to get nowhere. You've got to build relationship, and that's going to take time. So there we are. I'm out of time. I'm convinced that LinkedIn with Sales Navigator is the most promising way to connect with our ideal clients. If we all do the work described here and then look for opportunities to not only sell ourselves, but sell Maxis and colleagues, I believe we can make a real impact. And what we envisage here is that we will create a PowerPoint with a slide per member, which will just have a little bit of a sort of an elevator pitch and so forth, so that you can send that as a pack to any client, prospective client that you meet, and say, I'm a member of Maxis. These are all the services that I can offer you. And then look for opportunities to link to fellow members, so at James Robertson or whatever, so that we can be drawn into discussion on LinkedIn. I could probably, I put this together yesterday and I realized I could probably give at least a 1 hour session on this to really share with you everything that I've learned in the last few months. But I hope that's useful to you.
Brilliant. Thanks, James. Just one very quick tip. On your description, you said put things in capital because you can't change fonts. If you go to igfonts.io, which stands for Instagram fonts, igfonts, if you put your wording in, it comes up with variations in the format. If you copy and paste that, it does work. You can have words in bold, in funny, fancy letters if you want to be all creative.
In the about section.
If you go, yeah, if it works, and it works in posts on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn as well.
I'm guessing it applies markup to the text. Yeah.
Say again, Bernie?
I'm guessing it applies markup to the text, so you can use simple HTML, little sort of chevron brackets and whatever to add formatting. So if it does that, there's a number of markup editors you can use. Okay,
great.
I did get around that, James, as well. I did put a comment in the chat that I've always been advised, and I've used the LinkedIn expert Tony Silver, that capitals is too shouty. So I then used little icons. The star, I got like bright orange stars because orange is one of my sort of third very, very small amount of colour in my copy. So that, yeah, you can actually get the icons in there or an emoji to start your header titles, and that does actually stand out quite nicely.